Hello YouTube, it's Ryan here with Hobbies of a Man once again, and today, as is the second video of the month, we are going to be having a ramble discussion video. Today we're going to talk about my favorite manga genre and why it's my favorite. And if you watch my videos, you probably have an idea what my favorite genre is, but it actually isn't what you would think, right? So let's get into it. Hopefully this is interesting, but I mean, I don't know. Let me know what your favorite manga genre is down below, and we can kind of talk about it in the comments. So let's start. I think a lot of people would kind of think that my favorite genre, sorry, I gotta move this a little bit. My favorite genre would probably be some sort of rom-com kind of thing. I do like those quite a bit. And if you kind of have been following me for quite a bit longer than just the last couple months, you'll probably think that my favorite genre would be either sci-fi and fantasy, and that is generally what the answer is when I ask something like that, right? Like if someone asks me if I'm talking to someone and they're like, hey man, what's your favorite genre? I'll probably say fantasy, most specifically epic fantasy, because that is kind of generally my favorite genre. Out of all of the books that I own, the vast majority of them do happen to be fantasy, and mostly epic fantasy when it comes to proper Western style novels. But I don't really think that that's my favorite genre, or at least it isn't anymore. And that's because there's another genre that kind of crept up and that I really like. The problem is that it doesn't really have that many books in this genre, not because it's rare or anything, just like it's not a thing that happens in American kind of entertainment very often. So the genre here is foodie genre, whatever that is called, gourmet genre, I don't know, like food related manga, light novels, anime, and stuff like that. I really like food related entertainment, and the reality is that in like the American Western kind of sphere, that is usually just television shows, and usually they're pretty boring because it's like, oh, cake making competition and butchering competition and stuff like that. And like some of them are pretty interesting. Like I can't remember what the name of that butchering competition is. It was like on History Channel, and I think it was like it was like based on the same kind of competition that was like a smithing competition. I can't remember what it's called, but I thought that one was pretty interesting. It was on the History Channel YouTube channel. And I watched a few episodes of it. And I thought it was cool, but generally, like I'm saying, most American entertainment that has to do with like the food genre is usually cooking shows, right? Whether that is like shows that tell you how to cook things, or it's a competition show, or a combination of both. And they're pretty fun sometimes, right? Like Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives is a pretty awesome show. I like Guy Fieri a lot, and I really enjoy kind of him just going around and trying food out, right? But it doesn't have that same kind of like fun as reading does to me, because I like reading more than watching television. So I really hadn't realized that this was a genre that I really liked until rather recently, when I started collecting manga and anime and light novels, because, well, that's a pretty common type of genre across the weeb culture, the otaku kind of subset, right? So why do I like the food genre so much? Well, the reality is that I like it because I like food. And I don't mean like just eating food, because I mean I do like eating food. I'm a pretty heavy-set guy, and it's not just because I have like shitty genetics or anything like that, or a bad metabolism. It's kind of because I like eating, right? But beyond that, I think food in general, like as a concept, is pretty awesome. Like how did we get to being humans? When we were monkeys, we were able to eat food that was cooked by fire, and so that helped us have a lot more energy available a lot quicker, and so it helped us evolve, right? Why do we have modern, society? Because one day we decided to figure out how to plant crops and develop horticulture, and then we developed, agriculture and livestock. Not livestock. Sorry. Livestock, situations, and then we developed, society on the backbone of agriculture, right? So food is a part of our development as a group of animals, and it's also a part of our development as a society and as a culture, right? So when you think of food, you think of, very mechanically, just I have to eat because I need to live, right? But if you look at it as a kind of social thing, literally just about every social activity you do includes eating of some sort, right? Of some kind. Now you go to the movies, you buy a drink, you get some popcorn, you go to a party, usually there's cake, and there's a dinner, you hang out with your friends, you usually end up eating something at some place, whether it's going to get boba or going to Starbucks to drink some coffee, or just going out for dinner and stuff like that. So, as a society, as a group of animals, we find food to be a very core aspect of our society, right? Of our, cultural and interpersonal understanding, right? We all have preferences. We all kind of differ in what we like to eat and what we don't like. And food culture across the world is so interesting, right? In the US, street food culture is really not as prevalent across the whole nation as it is in somewhere like Mexico or maybe Turkey, or China or whatever country you pick. But it is kind of very big in certain areas, right? If you're here in Texas, you go to Austin, there's a pretty cool food culture there, right? You go to New York, there's a pretty interesting street food culture there as well, and stuff like that. You go to Turkey, you can get a doner kebab anywhere that you walk. You go to Mexico, you can go get corn in a cup, corn on the cob, tacos, ice cream, whatever you want outside in the street corner. You go to the park, there's going to be someone selling something to eat, right? So I think food in general is just a awesome, very interesting kind of concept, right? And I mean, if I didn't want to have a lot of money after graduating university, I would have probably, studied either teaching or, gone to culinary school. So I don't know. I think food is amazing and very cool. It's a very kind of interesting part of my life, I guess. Most of the good memories that I have are usually around the dinner table or hanging out with my parents, in the kitchen as my mom cooks, or as I cook, or as we help each other cook, or something like that. And especially since I'm North Mexican, a kind of very big aspect of our culture is sitting outside on the patio, grilling some meat, right? Which is the famous carne asada that everyone that is Mexican probably knows, but that I think North Mexicans take to a crazy extreme, right? And so I think food is amazing, right? And when I found food as a genre of things that I can read about, which is my favorite hobby, reading is the thing that I like most doing, I kind of really ended up liking it a lot. I think it's super awesome. And the fact is that with manga, it doesn't matter what kind of combination of genres is, someone wants to read that, right? So you have like food-related rom-coms like Gal Gohan, right? Where it's like a girl is learning how to cook, and through learning how to cook, she finds her kind of lover, the person that she likes and wants to be with. Or you have something like The Beauty and the Feast, which is a book I reviewed a while back, which is about this high school kid that doesn't really have anyone, but he finds someone due to a nice older lady that doesn't have a husband anymore, feeding him and kind of reawakening her love for cooking through being able to interact with this baseball player kid, right? Or you have things that are super fantasy oriented, like Drifting Dragons, which is literally about the hunt and then consumption of dragons across this very interesting kind of Ghibli-esque world. And of course, the art here is amazing as well. And you have things like Delicious in Dungeon, which is kind of a D&D kind of situation where the goal is not necessarily to beat a bad guy, but rather to eat all of the monsters in the dungeon, right? And you even have things that are like isekai related, like one of my favorite light novels ever, Cooking with Wild Game, which is awesome. It's an isekai. It's about this guy that is the son of a chef. The only thing that he has in his possession is a knife that his father gave him. that he tried to save from a fire that then forced him to be isekai into this new world that doesn't have food culture in the same way that he kind of has food culture, right? And it's super awesome. Like just generally the idea of food is awesome, and then adding that in as a kind of what's it called method to tell stories is really, really cool. I loved it a lot. I think the food genre is super underappreciated, and it should really be a bigger thing. And I don't know, I kind of feel sad that Western novels don't really have that kind of thing, but it's because most of the Western fantasy and science fiction novels are really more kind of what's it called, they want to be a lot more commercially viable, and maybe the cooking genre or the food genre isn't as commercially viable as, you know, regular action stories. And I totally understand that, right? But I don't know, I feel like there would be a lot more people that would read it if you know, if they just gave it a chance, right? And like, I mean, sometimes even authors themselves kind of add some element of that into their stories. Like, you know, Brian McClellan in the Powder Mage trilogy, he has a character that is a god of the kitchen, and he ends up kind of like just feeding everyone, and it's kind of funny. He's a funny character. It's not really like a cooking centric story, and like that character really isn't centered around developing and showing you how to make food. But I mean, it is fun that he is added in. And in stuff like Brandon Sanderson's what's it called, Stormlight Archive, you know, there's an emphasis on explaining why there's these different colored wines and stuff like that. And, you know, there's some kind of interesting talks about the recipes that they eat and stuff like that. And, you know, there's a character whose sole purpose is to cook so everyone is happy. Like, you know, there's a lot of interesting kind of times in fantasy novels when, you know, people do focus on the food aspect, and I always find that so awesome. But I mean, it's not the same, right? Like it being a little part of like a larger fantasy story versus it being the main part of a fantasy story, like in Drifting Dragons. And I really wish that it was a more common thing. I think that the food genre is awesome, and food in general is awesome. The concept of food is awesome. Eating food is awesome. You know, just in general, I think that it's really, really cool. And I think that's why food as a genre of like entertainment is probably my favorite. Even if I don't really like cooking shows all that much. I mean, I watch them every once in a while, but it's not really the same. And I just wish that there was more of them. So I really do hope that, you know, there's a kind of explosion of the food genre in terms of the Western manga community enjoying it, so that we can get a lot more of it, because it is really fun and really enjoyable. You know, usually the stuff that comes over is either super critically acclaimed in Japan, is getting an anime, or is a rom-com thing where like they can spin it as a rom-com instead of a food manga. But I don't know, I think that manga is a really interesting kind of medium because it allows you to explore other hobbies through what's called itself. And I don't know why that's a possibility here and not really in like in manga, but it isn't really common in other types of media, right? So we'll see, but I don't know, I think it's super cool, and I really just wanted to make a video about food manga. This is a lot less structured than I was hoping it would be, but this is kind of the nature of a ramble video, so maybe I'll do a more proper kind of research video on the same topic later on. But that's all I have for you guys today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought, and let me know what your favorite genre is, and if your favorite genre is the food genre, let me know why that is. Let me know if you agree or disagree with anything I said. And yeah, thank you guys very much. So see you guys later.